you'll also get free access to the Monica Kelsey story that details her mission to save abandoned newborns across America. Stop by afaaction.net today. afaaction.net.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the radio program Today's Issues here on AFR, American Family Radio. Wednesday, May the 15th, 2024. And as always, we thank you for listening. Joining me in studio is Ed Vitagliano. Good morning, Ed.
What's up?
That's an unusual response. You changing your image?
I finally made it to the
going
90s.
Fonzie?
I finally made it to the 90s.
What's up? What's up? What I like is the shout-outs that people give today.
Yeah.
That Arsenio Hall started in
Yeah, with the little
1996 or whenever it was. Wesley Wildman. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning.
And Christopher Woodward.
Hello.
How you doing, Brother Chris?
I'm doing well.
Would you just say just hello?
Hello.
That was
Hello.
it?
Hello.
Hello. You say hello. I say goodbye.
Will you still love me when I'm 6'4"?
Is that
A song?
No.
Chris jokes because he's 5'7".
Yes.
Right.
Well, on a good day
Okay.
with the right shoes.
Right. All right. So, lot to talk about today, and that's always helpful because it's a talk show. And we got Abraham Hamilton III will be with us at the bottom of the hour. So
He'll be doing some talking.
we look forward to visiting with Brother Abe. And Wesley, tell folks how they can just engage this whole experience here.
Well, if you're going to do the engaging part, then the
Yeah.
best place would be Facebook or YouTube, because obviously there you can comment there. But if that's the engaging part,
They comment there.
you could. But if you just want to listen, just want to participate in that way, I'd encourage you to go to afr.net.
That's
Go
okay.
ahead.
I thought you were going to give the other streaming. You are going to do that?
Yes, sir. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Is there an order you want me to do them in?
Well, you gave the two streaming platforms that people go to, and then left ours out.
Yeah.
And so I was okay. I'll be quiet.
That's, I'm just going to say it is interesting to watch as a father and now grandfather how parents will ask you a question,
Then
and then
answer
if you
for-
don't answer it exactly the way we want you to answer it,
Right.
we start correcting you.
I do
I'm
that. I do that.
I'm
for,
just gonna
for my
shut-
children.
Exactly.
I'm just going to shut my mouth. Answer the question. Go ahead, son.
However you'd like, Wesley.
So you've got AFA Facebook page,
Mhm.
which is Today's Issues Live. Then you've got our YouTube channel, which is AFA, which is Today's Issues, and then
Live.
the three places.
Excuse me.
Today's
I'm
Issues
sorry.
Live.
No, well, because this
It
is
does matter.
this
the,
is
the live
important.
part. Yeah.
the YouTube. Go ahead.
Yeah, it
YouTube.
does. It does matter. Today's Issues Live is the YouTube and the Facebook page.
Right.
That's the name that you're searching. The three places that we host on our campus that we are responsible for, that you can't be banned from,
Right.
that we can't be banned from, is our AFR.net or our AFR app or our stream.afa.net. Stream.afa.net. Stream.afa.net is our version of the YouTube side of it, where we provide video content, the video version of the radio program, in addition with the audio, of course, as well.
Good job.
Excellent.
Hey,
Good
you know,
job.
Excellent work.
didn't even practice it either.
Yep.
Well, you just first time up to bat. You
That's
fouled
right.
a couple pitches
That's
off,
what I did. That's right. I did do that.
but then you hit a line drive in the gaps.
Hey, you know
Right.
what? I appreciate the fact that you remind us that even though we do this every day and we begin to assume that our audience knows
Yes.
things,
Good
but we
point.
have new listeners. Being a national radio
Yeah, we do.
network, we get new listeners each and every day. So live,
Right.
you want to include on Today's Issues when you're searching us.
Right.
Today's Issues
All right.
Live.
Chris, what's first story?
Well, some well-known Democrats
Well-known
in the
Democrats.
state of New York are making headlines for questionable comments about migrants and people of color. Let's begin with New York City Mayor Eric Adams,
Wait, do I
Democrat.
count? Does white count?
What's that?
as a color?
Uh,
I want to know that because I'm a white fella and I'm always excluded.
yeah, in sociological terms, no, it does not.
All right, I'm gonna write it down. White is not a color. Write this down right
It is
now.
the absence of
It is.
White is not a color.
Mhm.
And that's
Even though most automobiles on the highway are not a color.
that is
Right.
true.
Go ahead, Trish.
Now, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who is a Democrat from New York City and an African American male, he wants to give migrants there a job. And the reason he thinks migrants would be good for things like lifeguard positions is because, according to the Democratic mayor of New York City, quote,
let him say it.
Okay.
Let him say it.
Thank you.
Don't-
Save
Spoiler
me.
alert. Don't. Yeah,
clip
that-
one.
Yeah.
Let me just take your imagination for a moment. If we had a migrant and asylum seeker plan that states those jobs that we are in high demand, we could expedite. How do we have a large body of people that are in our city and country that are excellent swimmers, and at the same time we need lifeguards? And the only obstacle is that we won't give them the right to work to become a lifeguard.
That's hilarious.
It is.
Huh? That's
I
hilarious.
laughed this morning when we played it in our story meeting. I was trying not to laugh out loud just now when I was
Right.
listening to
Are we supposed to laugh?
it.
I don't think we're supposed to laugh, but
it's
we
hard
are.
not, it's certainly hard not to.
Yeah. Why is it funny, Ed?
It's funny because on the left, they're always talking about being politically correct.
Right,
That's what we used to call
right.
it. It's woke now. And yet,
Don't want
the-
to misgender somebody.
yeah, right.
mean,
Don't want to
we-
do any
no,
of those
no.
kinds of things. You don't want to wear dreadlocks if you're
No,
white because
right. You're
you're
appropriating.
cultural appropriation,
all this
all
stuff.
that kind of stuff. And here, the mayor of New York City,
Who is a
Eric-
minority.
who is a minority, Eric Adams, is using the idea that all people coming across the southern border, crossing the Rio Grande, must be good swimmers because they're, in parentheses, wetbacks. That's where that idea came from. That stereotype, and what's hilarious. Now, it's not hilarious that he used ethnic stereotypes. We're all appalled.
Yes,
Okay?
we are.
by ethnic
I'm appalled.
stereotypes.
Do
But
I
the-
look appalled?
But the fact that he did not realize he was doing it.
Yes.
Right. That's what makes it even funnier.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, what makes this a really head-scratching moment is because just a couple of weeks ago, if it has been that long, the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, again
Yep.
another Democrat,
Right. Who's not of color.
who is not of color, she said that black kids in her state don't know what a computer is, which is blatantly false.
Everybody in America knows what a computer is. It doesn't
Well, you
matter
are
where you're
stating
sitting.
the obvious.
Yeah.
That was an
That's
NBC
okay.
story.
Yeah.
That's okay. Obviously.
I do not have the
Hey,
audio of her saying that, but she did say that in
Listen-
an interview that NBC covered.
She was, in fairness, as Ed says oftentimes, she was talking about low income kids in New York City, which she was saying.
You're just giving context. There's nothing
yeah,
fair about it.
Yeah, lot, no,
In all fairness,
lot of
it's
but-
still.
But it was she was saying these dumb poor kids in New York City don't know what a computer is. They've never. And she didn't say dumb, but I mean she said they don't know because they're not privileged. Basically, is what she was saying. But it was an insult to the intelligence. It's like saying when folks, some white liberals say, well, black folks, they don't know how to get a driver's license.
Yes.
And so they're not going to be able to vote because they don't know how to get down to the get.
The implication
That's
is
what
that
they
they're
say.
too
Yeah.
dumb to know how to get one.
Yeah, that's what they say.
That's
These
the
are white
implication.
liberal Democrats
Right.
who say this kind
What's
of stuff.
confusing is when having these conversations or listening to people with these types of conversations is they don't realize meaning in this illustration the white liberal, they think that they're helping the situation.
Yes.
they
Right.
think that
Right.
they're
We're gonna
filling in,
Well, yeah, it's basically we're going to have to help these poor people because they're dumb as a
but
brick.
they don't realize how insulting it is.
Yes, no.
You know, I've seen a man on the street videos before where they go in New York City. And now this is a couple years old probably, but it was over this issue that you raised, Tim, about voter ID laws. And so this, if I remember right, this was maybe from the David Horowitz Center or something, but he was going around was a young man asking black people in New York whether they had driver's licenses and or knew where to get them.
Mhm.
And the black people were insulted. They said, "Of course I've got a driver's license. I don't know anybody who doesn't. I don't know any black person who doesn't have a driver's license." And he was asking, "Well, where would you, if you had to tell someone where to go?" He said, "Yeah, it's down 5 blocks down." You take,
Right.
they all knew where to go, and they all had driver's licenses. And they
Right.
were like going, "Wait, you mean liberals are saying that about us? That we
Yeah.
wouldn't know how to get a driver's license?"
Back to this point. So Mayor Adams there is, I don't know how many lifeguard positions are open
Right in New York.
in New York. How many in New York City? How many lifeguard positions we got open?
Maybe
But
they're
by-
Apparently 10
Yeah.
million because that's
By
how many
golly, these
illegal
Mexicans can swim across the Rio Grande, so we ought to sign them up for a lifeguard job. That's what he's saying.
what he
That's
said.
exactly
In
what
a
And not
nutshell.
all the illegal immigrants in this country
Right.
are Mexican.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, we have a lot from Latin America, but also from Africa and from
China.
We got them from around the world now.
Even people from the Middle East have come here through the southern border.
Right? Can they swim?
I don't know.
We need to
Well,
need to
they
test them. We need to
But
test them
out of-
out, see if they can get those apply for that lifeguard position.
Yeah. Just
Well, with 10, what is it, 8 to 10 million illegal immigrants
Mhm.
since Joe Biden took office, that's a lot of lifeguards. I don't think there'll be a single person drowning anywhere in New York
Safest
City.
place to swim.
All right.
The Big Apple.
oh my
Go ahead.
word.
I think
So,
go ahead.
So a moment ago, Tim used the phrase "insult to the intelligence."
Yes, I did.
President Joe Biden has done that a couple of times. We discussed this last week. I don't have the audio, but I'm going somewhere with this. Last week, Biden did a rare sit-down interview with CNN. We did air the audio at the time. Biden, when asked about rising grocery prices and the fact that people are still struggling to buy food, he told CNN last week, quote, "But the thing is, Americans have the money to buy stuff."
Right.
Which is not true because wages are down under his
Is that
watch
how he
as
said it,
president.
Chris?
It is.
Very close.
I worked on that really hard.
Okay.
So the reason I bring this up is because one of the other things that even CNN now is fact-checking, and thank them for that, is Biden's repeated claim that inflation was 9% when he took office, which again is not true. I've got a couple of bits of audio of Biden saying as much and CNN fact-checking the president of the United States and his repeated false claims that inflation was 9% when he took office. Clip 10.
No president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs and bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%. I think inflation has gone slightly up. It was at 9% when I came in, and it's now down around 3%.
So inflation was nowhere close to 9% when President Biden took office. In January 2021, it was 1.4%.
That guy that just fact-checked
probably
him
got fired.
should be doing the Eric Adams story today.
Yeah.
Who was that guy?
I don't have the name.
He
I
was a
saw
CNN
that.
guy, though.
A soon-to-be possibly former CNN personality.
That's a CNN personality. He's not a host, but he's a co-host or he's a guest on regularly on CNN. I saw that this morning,
Mhm.
and like I said, when I was watching it, my mouth would go, "Oh boy,
Yeah.
you're gonna get fired for that." And he goes on. He corrects Biden several times,
Well,
but unlike
Because-
I've ever seen on CNN.
Yeah.
listen, Joe Biden, as we said before, sells more Whoppers than Burger King.
Yeah.
And I've used that line a lot.
He'd
but it's-
probably tell you he worked at Burger King at some point.
Yeah, that's
He
right.
He
with,
owned Burger
with,
King.
with Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked with Elvis. We were at Burger King together in Detroit.
Yeah, Nelson Mandela and we owned.
That's right. Listen, Biden, he just get up. I mean, we're not making this up like he does. He just I don't know. He's always done this,
Yes.
but not as often. But go ahead.
Yes, but there are times, and I'm not speaking specifically for Biden, but just the left media in general, including Biden at times and KJP, they do sometimes change the definition of certain things in order to be able to then say certain things that we all know is not true.
Mhm.
But by the changing of the definition, it is somewhat more true.
Yeah.
So we have seen that, but in this case, there's not a human being.
No.
There's no definition change here that you can, like for inflation, you can't change the definition and redefine it in order to make this even remotely true. Nobody, CNN is saying this is a lie.
Right.
Right.
They
Yeah.
fact checked him.
Yeah, they did, and so and by the way, these record job production that Biden touts all the time.
That's what I mean. Sometimes they can change the definition of that type of stuff,
Well,
but that's not.
The numbers. All that is the COVID jobs.
That's
coming
it.
back.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
100%.
So I would have more respect for him.
Yes.
And I'm a respectful person.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I respect others, but I would have more respect for him if he would say, the COVID jobs came back, and that's really under my watch, the COVID jobs came back,
And that's the starting point.
Yeah, numbers are, but don't
Right.
don't act like you're some great job creator when we all know why the jobs came back.
Right.
But that's what a lot of politicians do. They take credit for things they don't have any business taking credit for, and they don't take blame for anything that's directly their fault.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's interesting. Hey, you're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. A breaking story right now. I said it's breaking. Is that Biden has agreed to debate Trump?
Yes. We have that on our website.
And
AFL.net.
America waits
We do.
on that.
I still like in a fog there. Like when y'all were saying that and y'all played the clip this morning in our show prep about him saying he was willing to do it, and we've got the clip.
We do. We do have some audio of Biden here.
He's saying bring it.
Yeah, in a video, President Biden says he wants to debate former President Donald Trump. Clip 9.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
See, that's
What was the
bad.
free on Wednesdays thing?
That's because his trial, the New York City trial, the judge does not
Meet
no
on
court
Wednesdays?
on Wednesdays. So that
Little
was
bit-
a
little-
pretty good. That was a pretty
good line.
Yeah, it was a pretty good line. And he was also popping the former president. In other words, Biden was kind of insulting Trump because he said since then he hasn't shown up for one. That's a reference to the Republican debates
right.
where he just wouldn't show up. So,
Right. I will say a couple, 3 weeks ago, maybe a month, maybe even earlier than that, Trump has said he wants to debate Joe Biden. So
yeah,
the
he
media is going to frame this as Biden sets the stage when that's not true.
Well, we normally do have at least 2 presidential debates
And one VP.
every 4 years leading up to the election for the Democrat and the Republican, sometimes including an independent who is has enough support to merit an appearance on the stage. Now,
so someone you're talking about like RFK Jr.
yeah, I don't know if he'll qualify or not, and who makes that decision. That may be up.
It's whoever's holding the debate.
I believe
Oh,
so.
Yeah. So, but June 27th is the first one.
that's the first debate.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
That's what they just announced, June 27th. I personally don't believe it matters in terms of, but maybe I'm wrong about
Oh,
that.
it matters to me. I could. President Biden could change my mind. He has a good debate.
I
It
thought you were
could,
going to say
yeah.
it matters to you because you were looking for a good comedy skit. To watch.
Is it really in June? That's before either of the conventions.
Correct.
Look at that. Biden and Trump accept invitation for June
I
27th
see.
debate. So
My reaction to this when
Yeah.
I first heard it this morning in show prep is that there is nothing at all that good can come from it for Biden's side. And you could argue the same case for Trump, but also I do think that Trump has more to gain from this visibly and than Biden does. Biden has nothing to gain here at all.
What do you think should be
He
the
should
first?
be in the basement just like he did the last time. That's his only chance. He has more. There's going to be so many gaffes from this. There's going to be so many politically incorrect things that he says, like if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. He's going to have plenty of those. That there's nothing. He didn't gain. Now again, you could say Trump, same thing. It's not the same thing, meaning all the gaffes and all that. You could say that it doesn't really make a difference. But then you could also argue that, like I would argue, I would say that Trump positioning himself on a debate stage from a cognitive standpoint with Biden across the other side is a win for Trump.
I'm going to say I'm really surprised at the timing of the debate. Neither of these two gentlemen, President Biden, former President Trump, have officially been declared the nominee for their party.
Presumptive nominees.
Usually the debates are after the two conventions, because that's when you're trying to ramp up. That's when people are starting to pay attention.
Right.
So I'm wondering if President Biden is offering the early date because he knows it's summer. People aren't paying that much attention. They're not focused in on the election like they are once the conventions are finished. Maybe this is a tactical move on his part.
Well, let's go around the table. What do you guys think the first question or the first couple of topics should be in that first debate? Like, what would you want to?
Well, do we know
bring
do we know it's June 27th? Do we know
who's hosting it?
We don't know. See if you can find out who's hosting it. Who the
That's going to determine. Our understanding is
it's Thursday night.
Our understanding is that the Biden campaign is not going to debate on Fox. So they are going to be on a friendly network.
CNN.
So it doesn't matter what we think the first questions should be.
But does it really matter where the debate is televised? Because if you're interested in that, how hard is it to go click and move your channel?
Oh, right, yeah.
Move your channel. If you know the debate's coming on and you're interested in that, there's no difference between clicking from CNN to Fox.
But the questions that are asked
and
the attitude of the hosts
you got
to make a big difference. I mean, if CNN's hosting it, how long do you think it's going to last? The debate will go on before the CNN
the structure side of a debate is what you're saying.
No, before the host says, President Trump, what about your legal woes? Boy, you sure got shellacked in that New York City.
But it'd be the same way with Biden if Fox hosted it.
Yes, it could be.
It might. I think Fox would probably try to play it a little straighter.
Okay, we just commended CNN for fact-checking him on the economy.
Oh, that's one out of a million.
You mean the guy who's going to get fired from CNN?
Yeah.
I mean the guy who's going to get fired.
Yeah.
You know what they should do? If they really wanted people to watch and drive up the ratings, give both of them a certain amount of money and tell them to go buy food for 5 people.
Okay.
And fix it.
No, that'd be
you've asked the question, though. Your question to us was, and it was a serious question, Chris, and we take it serious. Don't we, fellas?
Yeah, we do.
I do. We take it serious. You said what would be the first question?
Yeah, what would you like to see the first
CNN.
question be?
Okay. I'm saying the question should be, President, and you can say it to either one of them. I would say to President Trump, excuse me, to President Biden. First question: do you agree with Mayor Adams that Mexicans are more qualified to be lifeguards because they can swim across the Rio Grande, sir? Please answer that. So, what do you think, Ed? You think that would be a good, fair first question?
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going to be serious for a second.
Will you be? Mayor Adams was being serious.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What was you?
The first question I would like to ask President Biden.
Yeah.
And that's because Trump's already somewhat answered this. I would like to ask would you take all of the illegal immigrants who have specifically committed violent crimes on the record?
Right.
Illegal immigrants who committed violent crimes in America.
Right.
Would you round them up and send them back? That not all. I didn't say all illegal immigrants.
Right.
You want to keep the good swimmers.
Yeah, keep the good swimmers. But the ones that have committed violent crimes, would you send them back? Yes or no?
Yeah, that'd be a great question.
Violent.
I'd like to hear President Trump ask, our economy's in shambles. What the first 100 days, what would you do to try to get the economy back going?
We'll be back. We'll be back in a minute with more of today's issues on American Family Radio.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildman.
On November the 19th, 1863, two men were speakers at the dedication of a soldier's cemetery on a famous battlefield in Pennsylvania. One of the men who was to speak was the main speaker for the day, and the other had only a few words to say. The man who spoke first, the featured speaker, spoke for a full 2 hours. The other gentleman said what he had to say in 3 minutes and used only 219 words to say it. 2 years later, both of these men were dead. The featured speaker died as a result of natural causes. The man who had only a few words to say died as a result of an assassin's bullet. Very few people have ever heard any part of a featured speaker's address, yet nearly every school child in America has learned by heart the words of the second speaker. I guess as one looks back at the thing, that how much one says isn't all that important. Now, you preachers and politicians, you need to take note of what I'm saying. One is left with a firm impression that what matters most is what one says. In other words, it isn't quantity that counts in the long haul, but quality. And this principle could be applied not only to speeches, but more specifically to lives. Take the example of the life of Frederick William Robinson. Hardly a person there is who has studied at the job of being a minister who has not only heard of this man, but also studied his writings. He was the pastor of Holy Trinity Church in Brighton, England. He regularly preached to larger crowds than most preachers do today. His sermons have been preserved and printed, yet he died when he was only 37 years old. Or consider Nathan Hale. He was a school teacher prior to the Revolutionary War. Entering the service, he was commissioned a captain. He volunteered for spy duty behind the lines of the enemy, knowing the penalty should he be captured. He was captured and was hanged the next day. The enemy refused his request for a Bible and the services of a minister. Yet he died only after saying that he regretted that he had only one life to give for his country. He was dead at the age of 21. There was another who lived only a short time. He was a carpenter until he was about 30, and then turned to preaching. His ministry was extremely short, covering a period of approximately 3 years. He enjoyed moments of popularity and acceptance as a minister and a pastor and a preacher, but was eventually rejected and put to death as a criminal and enemy of the state. His name was Jesus of Nazareth. He died at the age of 33. The two men who spoke at Gettysburg that day in 1863 were Edward Everett and Abraham Lincoln. I don't have to tell you which man's speech is remembered, because most of us know the Gettysburg Address.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildman, a production of the American Family Association.
In him we were also chosen, having been predestined according to the plan of him who works out everything in conformity with the purpose of his will. Ephesians 1:11.
American Family Radio. This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR on this, let's see, it's Wednesday, May the 15th. We thank you for listening. Tim, Ed, Wesley, and Chris. And joining us now is our brother, our friend, our colleague, a lawyer, Abraham Hamilton III, who's her host of the Hamilton Corner each afternoon, 5 to 6 o'clock right here on American Family Radio. Good morning to you, Abe.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing very well.
Hey, before we, how long you got? You got 15 minutes or so?
Yes.
Without charging us?
No charge.
Okay, thank you. I like to know if we're on the clock or not. So I'm just teasing. He's used to the lawyer jokes, right?
I am.
Yeah. All right. So I want to ask you a question relative to President Trump's situation in the courtroom in New York. He's on trial. If he is convicted of, what is it called, Ed? What's the...
it would be a felony I don't know what the term for it would be for fraudulent, some sort of fraud connected with business filings,
business record recording.
Yeah.
Okay,
he
so
didn't do himself.
Okay, so if he's first of all, number one, is it a 12 member jury?
Yes.
Okay, and does it have to be unanimous?
Yes.
Okay, well then I like his chances. I like his chances of getting a hung jury. But anyway, that's just my personal opinion aside. However, let me just ask you this. If he were to be convicted unanimously by 12 people, does that mean he has to go to jail, or can he just pay a fine and move on?
Well, it would depend on what sentence the judge would afford him. I mean, he would be a first offender. So typically, first offenders, especially in what's considered white-collar crimes, business records recordings, probation would be the normal expected sentence, even in the event of a conviction. But we are talking about true blue New York, where people hate his guts, and the prosecution probably would try to press for some sort of jail time. But that would be viewed even by, I would say, the most liberal attorneys and judges as a miscarriage of justice.
He'll probably get, if he's convicted, then my guess is he'll get a conviction, and then he'll get probation or a fine or both, but no jail time, even if he's convicted.
Are you signing up to be his probation officer?
No, listen, I'm going to vote for President Trump, but I can't. I wouldn't want to manage that. And that's the reason he's not getting on the stand, because his lawyers know that you can't control him. He's for better or for worse. Sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's worse. You can't control. They can't control their client. Okay. So anyway, I was just curious what happens there. Now, go ahead, Wesley.
No, I was going to set up the Nancy Pelosi.
Go. You set it up.
Okay. Abe sent us a short audio that we're going to play here in just a second, where Nancy Pelosi essentially makes fun of your ordinary and everyday person. Clip. What is
5.
It? 5. Clip 5.
We've seen demagogues come down the pike, destroy the press. What do the Republicans say? Fake news. So they're diminishing that in the eyes of these poor souls who are looking for some answers. We've given them to them, but they're blocked by some of their views on guns. They have the 3 Gs: guns, gays, God.
What is she talking about?
Yeah,
I think I know. But what
she has disdain for the average American.
So, Abe, why don't you kind of why don't you just kind of get into the mind of Nancy Pelosi? And
everybody else just sit back.
The swamp that is the mind of Nancy Pelosi, and let our listeners know, what is it she's actually saying.
Yeah, I mean, this is a part of a debate at Oxford Union. She was debating. Her assertion was that populism is a threat to democracy, and she was lamenting the fact that she and the Democrat parties are providing answers to these poor souls, but they can't accept the answers that the Democrats are offering them because of their affinity for the 3 Gs: God, guns, and the concern about gays. And the thing that's so interesting, that people like her, they cannot help but to express their utter contempt and disdain for the American people. It's no different than Barack Obama. Let me be clear, clinging to your guns and your God and your religion.
That was good.
Well,
that was a good imitation.
It was better than my Biden, Abe.
Yeah, and just like, she who shall never be president, we're talking about the basket of deplorables. These people have utter disdain for American people, and they really believe that you are so incapable, you are so enfeebled that you cannot think for yourself. So they need to do your thinking for you, and you need to just simply embrace what they tell you and stop your, affinity for the 3 Gs in her words. And last I checked, doesn't Nancy Pelosi Isn't she Catholic?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yet she wants to help these poor souls who can't get answers for themselves by having a faulty understanding on, abortion, she says later on in that exact same clip. But it's just another example of the consistent phenomenon. And a point that I think is worth noting is that when you see this happen from people who shared this ideology, who shared this worldview across human history at different points in times, it should help the American people realize this is what they really think. They really believe that you are incapable of understanding life for yourself, that if you actually believe what the Bible says, you are a person in need of aid of some sort, and you need to rely on these elite, progressive, regressive people in order to help shepherd you through this tumultuous thing called life.
Well, and what she said at this debate at Oxford Union, which was about the issue of populism, actually proves why populists have success. And populism is a word that refers to folks who are average, ordinary folks who do not believe that the elites, including the political elites that run both political parties, that these elites do not care about the views of ordinary Americans. And that was what the debate was about. And Nancy Pelosi is actually proving why populism gains strength at times by showing her absolute disdain for ordinary people. She's saying that ordinary people are too dumb. You need us to help you. And that is what drives the numbers of populism, right?
You're absolutely right. And Winston, the gentleman who was debating her, literally made that exact point. It's like, you are the reason why populism is successful, because people have brains, people understand life. People, just because they don't share your ideology, don't share your worldview, doesn't mean they don't understand anything. And Nancy Pelosi basically is doing, the DC elite version of bless your heart. We're going to help you take the medicine that you need, and you're too stupid to realize you need it.
Now, I will say this. I did not know that the guy with the British accent said what I just said. I want folks to know that this guy came up with that independently of the very smart sounding British guy.
Okay. All right.
I am not elitist in thinking that.
You're populist. I'm populist.
Nancy should spend more time focusing on making her district safer rather than traveling across the pond and talking about.
Well, look, those $30 pints of ice cream aren't going to eat themselves.
That's true.
Somebody has to do that hard work, and that's
well,
Nancy
when somebody
Pelosi.
gets robbed going to the bodega for an ice cream in San Francisco, she's got problems.
Yeah, I mean, why worry about making your district safer if they're going to just keep reelecting you anyway?
Yeah, that's true.
Besides, she's in the UK debating. I wonder how often she actually goes back to her district. By the way, can I just suddenly just recalled something here? Maybe Chris, maybe or Abe, whatever happened to that situation involving her husband? Remember the guy who attacked with a hammer her husband? Whatever happened with all that? That just kind of dropped off the news media's radar.
It did drop off the media and the radar, and one could make the argument it's because the talking snake media is allied with her.
Maybe 2 or 3 years
I'll look it up to see if I can find the most recent link.
Abe,
I think the guy was just trying to deliver some pizza, and things got weird. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And that's happened to me.
I got an update for you. In recent days,
recent days. That's not
May
like a biblical
10th,
thing.
2024. In recent days, prosecutors seek 40 years in prison for man who attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband. So there has been some coverage of it, but you're right. It's not even in the second block of a national newscast.
Yeah.
Well, she's not Speaker of the House anymore either. So, I mean, who cares?
To be fair, right?
Yeah, who cares?
No, the whole thing was just a strange. Anyway, I'll drop it.
Yeah.
I'll share
go
the
down
link.
this dark alley and regret it.
Well, Abe, what do you got coming up this afternoon on your show?
Well, I'm debating a couple different things, but we were talking yesterday about Josiah and how he was the descendant of a wicked grandfather and father, yet the Lord used him to institute righteous reforms in Israel. And what sometimes people may not recognize is that Jeremiah's ministry to the southern kingdom of Judah overlapped Josiah's reign as the king of Judah, and Jeremiah's father was the actual high priest who discovered the book of the law in the temple. So Jeremiah's dad and Jeremiah helped to influence Josiah, who led to the reforms in Judah. And so I think it's a worthwhile conversation to have, to show even though you have 57 years of utter wickedness in Judah, that doesn't prescribe or proscribe from Josiah being able to enter a time of returning to the Lord in fidelity.
Oh, that'd be an encouraging message for our listeners, for your listeners.
Amen. So that's one consideration. What you're saying? What's the other one? What's the other one?
The other is you're going to discuss speaking in tongues, right? That's the other maybe possibility.
You got to
No.
interpret it. Would be my question. All right. Thank you, Abe. Appreciate it. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
That's Abraham Hamilton III. Join him today and weekdays, Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 o'clock Central Time, 5:05 to be precise, 5:05 to be precise. Central Time, right here on American Family Radio for your Hamilton Corner fix each afternoon.
I thought about interrupting you right there, but you did. You
What
were
did I
doing
do?
so well.
Did I recover?
No, you didn't do anything wrong. I just thought about doing it just to be doing it.
Oh, okay. So it was in your heart.
Yeah, but you did really well.
Yeah, thank you.
You announced his name, his program, and everything concisely.
I do have experience.
Yeah, you do have it. You do have
valuable
experience. Valuable experience working for me. You're listening to the radio program Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Tim, Ed, Chris, and Wesley, the smart aleck. No, I'm just kidding. Just teasing. Go ahead, Chris. What's your next story?
I want to update our listeners
You update
and
us,
supporters on the situation involving Sonesta Hotel in Nashville and an upcoming event called the Israel Summit scheduled May 20th through 22nd. Let me take a minute to set this up. For people not aware of this issue, a hotel there in the Nashville area near the airport canceled an event it agreed to host with the Israel Summit. This is an organization called High Yavel Conference, which is doing aid for things like Jewish farmers and trying to raise awareness to issues in Israel, not talking about the Knesset, but just things going on in Israel to bring those situations to light and make Christians aware of them. They wanted to have a gathering in Nashville, and the hotel got some phone calls, emails from pro-Hamas agitators saying, we don't like this, we don't want you to have this, and the hotel decided to cancel the event. First Liberty Institute in Texas got involved. They sent a letter to Sonesta Hotel saying, hey, what you're doing is wrong, you need to change your mind. And the hotel told First Liberty that police told us, they recommended to us that we should cancel this based on the complaints and the threats that have been made. I talked with First Liberty attorney Hiram Sasser last night, and based on their recent discussions with police have informed First Liberty, hey, we never told the hotel they should cancel this stuff. And I have audio from Hiram Sasser talking about this, clip 6.
My tendency is to believe the police because it sort of makes sense to me. They would not have been quick to try to encourage a hotel to violate federal and state law and engage in religious discrimination. That just doesn't sound right. The chief has come out to say, look, that's not what we said, and we could have provided the security just fine.
Now, it would appear that First Liberty is preparing some sort of legal action against the hotel, so stay tuned to AFN and AFN.net for more on that continuing story. But I do have a good news story, and I brought this in because my boss, the president...
Real quick, let me just add this. If you're the hotel management, in this case, Sonesta, and you schedule an event with a group like you do every day. Every day, all day, you're scheduling.
Sign a contract.
Yeah, sign a contract. This group's going to come here. They're going to stay 2 nights. They want to use our conference room. That's how hotels stay in business, right?
Right.
So this pro-Israel group schedules an event at this Sonesta Hotel in Nashville. Then the pro-Hamas side gets wind of it and decides, you know what, we're going to harass the hotel so they'll cancel the event. Who's right there? What should happen?
The hotel should respectfully tell the people who call complaining
and threatening.
They should respectfully say, we don't discriminate. It's against federal law to discriminate on the basis of religion or
ethnicity,
what have you. And we will have plenty of security here, and we will press charges if anyone breaks the law.
And you're welcome to hold your event here, I guess.
Yeah,
It was-
you're
I don't
welcome to
know.
hold your event. I think what happened was not just the threats of possible violence in protesting, not just the threat of protesting and having what the hotel might think was negative media, but I think it was also the financial threats that were probably explicitly made, where the hotel was told, if you don't not only cancel this event, but never host a pro-Israel event again, if you don't divest anything that you may perhaps your chain.
I don't think that's illegal, though.
That's not illegal, but I think that's probably what carried the day with the hotel.
Yeah.
was
Wesley,
the
what were you going to
financial
say?
threats.
What you just said, and to offer that they're willing to host their own event whenever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're in charge of outreach
Events,
for
yep.
AFA. We've had events where you've had to have security.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean that's not unusual.
No, it's not unusual. We've had events that were made public.
Mm-hmm.
We do private events, we do public events, and all our public events that people are aware of, they're invited to. We always have security. We provide security for all our public events.
Yeah, and most every church now has a security team.
Yeah,
almost. I mean, it's a crazy world we live
Yep.
in. So
Now, where I was going a moment ago was
you
this.
go there, Chris.
About 2 or 3 weeks ago, President Tim Wildman, my boss, told
sitting
me
right here.
Told me on this here program, I want you to bring in some good news. So this is me following through and complying with your executive order.
Two weeks later.
Well, I'm not on here every
Took him
day.
a
But
while.
anyway, but I digress. Anyway, a well-known celebrity, probably a name we all recognize, and rightly so, has agreed in the Nashville area to step up and host the Israel Summit if this hotel's not going to do it. Clip 7.
Dave Ramsey and the Ramsey family at Ramsey Solutions stepped forward and said, we'll host your conference. And so the conference is now going to be at Ramsey Solutions, thanks to their generosity at the Ramsey family for stepping up and frankly rescuing Hayuvel and these Jewish leaders and all the folks that are supporting Israel and supporting these Jewish farmers. They came in to the rescue, and so it's just a wonderful thing.
Yeah, that's good. Good on Dave Ramsey, who's based in Nashville. Yeah, I will say this. I mean, just to make it clear, I do think hotels, they do have a right to decide who they want to do business with.
Sure.
However, you have to be consistent, or you'll get blamed. You'll get a lawsuit brought to you for denying people services based on their ethnicity or there are certain categories where religious persuasion where you can't deny them services.
We've been denied at a handful of hotels in which I could speculate would be because of our position.
They didn't tell you that.
They didn't
right?
tell us that, though.
Right.
They had another way of saying it, meaning they don't have space. We've never had anybody go through, to my knowledge, with signing a contract and we're 10 days out,
right?
And they tell us no, we've changed our mind because
like the Sonesta did to
because
this
the LGBTQ have called
right.
and we're canceling. They found other ways they avoided us coming before we even got in the conversation,
right?
Which to your point is their prerogative. I think that they lost business,
right?
But
we found somewhere else.
But we found somewhere else to go. But we didn't get involved in a contract, and then the LGBT people.
Yeah, once you sign a contract, if you don't want somebody to come be a party, do business at your hotel, you need to check them out before you sign a contract.
Right.
Because once you sign a contract, it's too late.
Yeah,
Right.
and then right outside, just on the other side of the legal realms, which I mean could be somewhat debated, and I guess depending on the conversation. But the bigger issue here is that Hamas agitators should not be able to dictate where Jewish people host an event.
Amen.
Right.
That's
Amen,
bottom
brother.
line.
Amen, brother. You're listening to Today's Issues on AFR. Tim, Ed, Fred. Well, Fred's not here. Is Fred coming in?
He's not.
He's not coming in today.
Not today.
And,
You're stuck with me.
And Chris,
Fred.
my apologies. So we thank
That
you
is
for
good
listening.
news.
Yeah, it is
Yes.
good news. It is good news. All right, what's your next story, Chris?
Well, I also wanted to update our listeners and supporters on a situation we have long covered, going back to probably end of last summer, that being the Department of Education's massive fine against Grand Canyon University. Back in October of last year, the Department of Education announced a record $38 million fine against Grand Canyon University. The Biden Department of Education says Grand Canyon University, or GCU, which is a Christian school, has been misleading people about the cost of their education programs. GCU President Bob Mueller, I've had numerous conversations with him. He says this is not true. We wouldn't pay this fine if it was $1. And we've had many conversations about this. The reason I bring this in today is because on a story from Fox this morning, GOP lawmakers are now demanding a probe into Biden's biased targeting of the country's largest Christian university. I am trying to get Mr. Mueller on the phone again today, so do stick around with more from this.
Grand Canyon University, see if we can get somebody on.
Okay. I'll share you his contact info.
They're based in Arizona. Now, they say that they are the largest Christian university in America, and I'm assuming this is based on their online.
Yes.
Okay.
They have a large campus presence as well.
Because Liberty University, as far as being an evangelical Christian college, is I think by far the largest in terms of people on campus. And they have Liberty has a large online student, whatever you want to call it, student body. I don't know how a student body not on campus. But anyway, Grand Canyon University is huge. But the situation is this. They've been cited by the federal government, okay, the Department of Education, Office of Federal Student Aid, okay. So it sounds like this is the federal government under the Biden administration going after a Christian school because they don't like them. And so they found it's lawfare.
Yes. That's
what it sounds like, because I've never heard of a $37 million fine for deceiving thousands of students. And of course, Grand Canyon University said we didn't deceive anybody.
And the students didn't file a lawsuit.
Right.
Right. There's nobody. That's right. There's no harm to people saying we were.
Sounds like the New York case.
Yeah. Well, lawfare by the left. Yeah. And so we'll see if you can get somebody on from Grand Canyon on our program, because I would like to interview them. Grand Canyon University in. All right, there's a good trivia question. Where is Grand Canyon University?
Maine.
Okay, you can't get this one. We're not going to question 2. Okay. All right.
Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?
No, it's on my bucket list. Allison and I, we want to go.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
You lived out there.
Yeah.
We drove out to California from here in 2021, and we stopped in Arizona and went to the
COVID
Grand Canyon.
lockdowns. I'm just kidding.
I'm not scared of heights. I've been on planes. I've been on I've been to
Been
Paris
on a
with the
ladder
Eiffel
before.
Tower. Yeah. Well, but I'm not fond of things I could easily fall over into or whatever. I don't know. It's like a psychological thing. I just have to deal with it.
You're normal.
Anyway, so I'm there. My wife, my mother-in-law, my 2 daughters, they're standing there next to the edge taking a picture, and I'm over here hugging a tree that I am firmly committed to the idea that God planted that for me. And a lady walks by and sees me and laughed at me.
Right. Well,
it's amazing.
You deserve that scorn.
Yes,
Chris.
It's huge though. Pictures.
No, I
movies,
understand.
TV can't do it justice. It is worth seeing.
I'm the same way. I'm in an airplane. I'm good, but you get me looking over a big ledge or something like that. You know that.
Yeah,
that funny feeling in your stomach.
Yes, that's that funny feeling where God's saying, "Idiot, move away from the edge."
Give you a brain, Chris.
Right.
Like these people who take selfies at the edge of a cliff and wind up falling in.
Right.
Very sad.
90% survival rate, though. We'll be back momentarily with more. I said more of today's issues with Steve Paisley Jordahl.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Peter Rosenberger, author of the book A Minute for Caregivers, When Every Day Feels Like Monday.
I've been a caregiver for nearly 40 years, and I know how important it is to encourage a family caregiver. I also understand that caregivers don't have a lot of time, and each chapter of my book can be read in a minute. It's encouragement, support, and each chapter will point you to safety. Oh, by the way, they're all written in fluent caregiver.
A Minute for Caregivers is available at resources.afa.net.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump have agreed to debate one another, but the Biden campaign is laying out some requirements. Biden says he won't participate in the typical 3 fall debates organized by the Bipartisan Commission on Presidential Debates. He's instead proposed 2 televised debates in June and September. Peter Ducey explains some of the president's terms.
The first debate should be hosted by any broadcast organization that hosted a Republican primary debate in 2016, in which Donald Trump participated, and a Democratic primary debate in 2020, in which President Biden participated. So neither campaign can assert that the sponsoring organization is obviously unacceptable. That would limit partners that the Biden team wants to CNN, ABC, Telemundo, or CBS. Biden World also wants one-on-one for this debate, so their plan cuts out RFK Jr. It could also cut out mics. The campaign says they only want microphones active and turned on when it is a candidate's turn to speak.
A group of surrogates for former President Trump's campaign, including North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, and House Speaker Mike Johnson, joined him in New York yesterday in his hush money trial. Speaker Johnson explains the reason he attended.
I was with him yesterday in Manhattan, and many in the press have asked, why did you go there? Because I'm a former litigator. I'm an attorney. This is an egregious violation, a travesty of justice. They are using the judicial system for political purposes, and this is something the framers warned us against.
As we have reported on AFN, a hotel in Nashville canceled a pro-Israel conference after receiving communications from pro-Hamas agitators. First Liberty is representing the organization behind the conference and was told that police recommended the hotel cancel the event, but attorney Hiram Sasser says the new information has come out showing that's not what police said.
My tendency is to believe the police because it sort of makes sense to me. They would not have been quick to try to encourage a hotel to violate federal and state law and engage in religious discrimination. That just doesn't sound right. The chief has come out to say, look, that's not what we said, and we could have provided the security just fine.
The hotel is a Sonesta hotel and has not responded to AFN's email seeking comment. Meanwhile, Ramsey Solutions has offered to host the conference, which is scheduled for next week.
Dave Ramsey and the Ramsey family at Ramsey Solutions stepped forward and said, we'll host your conference. And so the conference is now going to be at Ramsey Solutions, thanks to their generosity at the Ramsey family for stepping up and frankly rescuing Hayuvel and these Jewish leaders and all the folks that are supporting Israel and supporting these Jewish farmers. They came in to the rescue, and so it's just a wonderful thing.
And finally, the attorney for a Catholic school does not think an appeal will be filed over a recent ruling.
In Billard v. Diocese of Charlotte, a former substitute teacher sued the school and diocese for not calling him back to work as a substitute teacher after he entered into a same-sex union and talked about it on social media. Earlier this month, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals reaffirmed the diocese's freedom to choose teachers who will uphold and help pass on the faith to the next generation. Attorney Nick Reeves of Beckett, the law firm representing the school.
The Fourth Circuit basically held that Catholic schools have the ability to determine who will teach the faith to the next generation. And I should say it's not just Catholic schools, it's really all religious schools. They have the freedom to hire people who will live out and pass on the faith to the next generation.
Billard has 14 days from the ruling to ask the Fourth Circuit to rehear the case, or 90 days to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court.
There's been no developments in the case since the Fourth Circuit ruled. I think it's unlikely that there will be. All 3 judges agreed that the Catholic school in this case should win. There was some disagreement about how the school should win, but I don't really think there was much dispute, and I don't think there's much of a reason why the other side would, seek further review on this case.
I'm Chris Woodward.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
The American Family Association's mission is to inform, equip, and activate individuals to strengthen the moral foundations of our culture. We also support the church. Our goal is to be a leading organization in biblical worldview training for cultural transformation. We believe that our ministry, as well as everything in the heavens and on earth, belongs to God, and our role is that of a trusted manager.
Thank you for standing with the American Family Association.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today's Issues is the name of this program, and we got 25 more minutes to go today on this show. Tim Wildman with Ed Vitagliano, Wesley Wildman, and now Steve Paisley Jordahl.
Morning.
Joins us. Good morning, Steve.
How you doing?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm well.
When's your next big singing engagement?
Well, we're going to be singing Sunday at church. It's not really an engagement, but we'll start gearing up for Christmas and
now you're
fall
part
concerts.
of two choirs, though, right?
I'm part of a I do sing in the church choir, but I'm part of the Columbus Chorale, which is Columbus, Mississippi. It's it's about a 30-40 voice choral group that does
y'all travel.
Choral. They haven't done since I've been there, but they went to England a little while.
When does Christmas practice start?
Well, we'll start up in August.
Wait a minute. Are y'all trying to outdo Family Dollar and Dollar Trees with their Christmas decorations? Because they always
starting early.
Well, here's the thing. It's not like we put it's not like we invite a whole lot of people to our practice. But if you don't practice, you can't sing. And
okay,
we're doing.
All right. So it's a lot different than just setting out.
That's not true. I don't practice. I sing all the time.
Yeah.
You
How
mean
many people will come? We're asking people to come and pay a ticket to listen to us.
Oh, that's a whole different.
That might
that's
be a
a
whole different,
different kettle of fish,
right there.
That was my first thought, though, when you said you're about to start gearing up for Christmas. I'm going to myself, wait a minute.
It's May.
Yes,
I know. Well,
I get it. Now
it takes a while. We do some stuff that's not easy to do. This is classical choral literature.
And you got a lot of people working together.
Yeah, it's a team. It takes a while. It takes rehearsals, and
that's good.
That's where we start.
Cool.
And this has been my life for decades. I've always started Christmas around August.
Oh, all right.
You mean, well, you have to get ready.
Yeah.
To practice. Can't just
people get ready.
Can't just proverbially
roll
the Christmas Carol ball out there.
Well, if it was just Christmas carols, we could. But
you got to practice. Got to pick the Christmas ball up and practice. You know what?
The analogy stopped about 5 seconds ago.
I've reached a point where I think everybody knows what I'm talking about.
I think they do. I think it's good right now.
I don't have to try to frustratingly fit out the analogy that I can't right now.
Right.
But I think we all know what I'm saying.
It is funny, though. Just I'm not making fun of what you just said.
Right.
Because we've all done it, where you start down that analogy trail.
Right.
And, and you got maybe a pretty good metaphor going, but you lose your way.
Yes. Something that distracts you.
Yes.
Or you forget what you were going to say exactly.
And then you're
mixing metaphors.
Yes.
Or
it makes my blood crawl.
Or what happens more so than not is that the analogy only goes so far.
Yes.
Even in its best context.
Right.
All analogies have a point to where it ends.
Doesn't go any further.
Yeah.
My seminary professor used to say you shouldn't make that analogy walk on all those legs.
All fours.
All fours, yeah.
I never have understood that, but I've heard that saying.
So Allison, my wife, Wesley's mother, I've mentioned this before, but it's not going to stop me from mentioning it again.
We're mentioning it again, apparently.
This is about 20 years ago. And I forgot, it may have been you, Wesley, she was upset with. Yeah, may have been you or your brother. Or I don't think she didn't get much upset with your sister. She was, but she.
I can see that.
We were out in the yard and she was upset about something. She told me, I'll just say Wesley. And she said, "I'll tell you one thing. He better wake up, smell the roses." And I said, huh? I think you're wake up and smell the coffee. I think.
So let me see. She was upset, and you decided it would be a good idea to correct.
I know that was. I did that without thinking. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, obviously she meant she better wake up and smell the coffee.
Yeah.
Instead of smell the roses or so. Yeah, but I did point out.
You might have been too young to drink coffee at that point.
Well, I just said I think you're mixing your metaphors there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was just trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
But she didn't say it that way. And so,
It doesn't.
So,
it's not exactly rocket surgery, is it?
Never correct a woman
when she's upset.
When she's upset.
In fact,
wait till they calm down, then you can correct them.
In fact, I'd go one step further, Tim. Just never correct a woman.
I was going to say, probably never correct a woman.
Now, is that an Eric Adams insulting moment? Are you saying they can't handle?
I've corrected my wife plenty of times in my head.
That's right. That is the best way to go, right there.
That's right. And if you ever get to the place where you are saying, "Did I say that out loud?"
Right,
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. And I would say for a marriage, it's better for the man not to dial it back, but just don't dial it at all.
Right.
Right? Would you say that? Is that a good metaphor?
I like that.
Okay.
I would. Yeah.
Happy wife. What's the rest of that?
Happy life.
Happy life.
All right. There you go. So, and you learn pretty quick in marriage. You don't have to. It's not being right. Is not always the best thing to be.
Let me just disagree here for just a second, Tim. This happy wife, happy life garbage. Okay, around my house, I decide what goes on, and as long as I'm happy, that's
comes the lightning.
That's what matters. I tell the little woman.
Get Diane on the phone.
This is a little.
I tell the little woman, you better get your act
together. You're only saying this because you know she doesn't listen to this show. But somebody's going to call her and tell her your husband is saying some.
I think the saying goes, "Happy husband." Well, okay, once or twice a year.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
no, happy wife, happy life.
Happy wife, happy life. All right. Steve, what's your first story?
Well, the breaking news, of course, today was that they've set some debates, right? The first debate is going to be the presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is going to be on June 27th. It's going to be on CNN, but they keep putting parameters around this. That first of all, the first thing they said was it has to be on stations or networks that have already aired them in the last debate session. Anyway, the first stipulation ruled out Fox. Now,
there's two debates, right?
They have agreed on two debates. This is Michael Tyler. He's the communications director for the Biden campaign on CNN a little while ago, and this is what he said, Cut 13.
It should be, yes, in studio with no audience so that the candidates can clearly articulate their visions for the country.
Is an audience a deal breaker? Is an audience a deal breaker for you?
Listen, it's Donald Trump who said he would do this anytime, anywhere, any place. So I don't think that they should have any problems with what we have proposed. He's the one who said he's ready to go. So we should be set to go once we have proposals in from network.
That's interesting.
No audience.
Now, I will say this. That doesn't bother me.
Sure.
Okay, because a lot of times audiences interrupt speakers or they take too much time clapping or booing or whatever they do. So that doesn't bother me to have that.
Oh.
But do you think they're doing that because they think President Trump plays to an audience better than an empty auditorium?
I think that's the case, and I think that the lack of enthusiasm for Joe Biden would probably translate to an audience. If the rubric here is that he said he'd debate anytime, any place, in any circumstances, then I think the next thing you're going to hear from the DNC or from the Biden campaign is we're going to have it on a stage with Joe Biden behind a podium and Donald Trump in a closed secret room where you can't see him. I mean, he said anytime, any place. So they keep putting restrictions
it's going to be on CNN.
Yep.
My guess is that the camps have already agreed on the conditions, or they wouldn't have made a public announcement.
Yeah.
That they've set the two dates, one in June 27th. So.
And the other one in September.
Mark your calendars, people. Biden v. Trump is coming your way. 2 rounds. June 27th. and September the 10th will be the set dates for the debates.
So the no audience, is that confirmed, or is that suggested, or is that parameters of agreement, or do you know that much? Like, is it for certain there's not going to be an audience?
This is the Biden campaign.
But I may or may not watch if it's not an audience, because that's the fun part. I'm just kidding.
Jerry Springer.
I'm sorry. What was the answer?
Who that is?
All he said was, play that clip again. How did he set it up?
It should be, yes, in studio with no
be.
audience, so that the candidates can clearly articulate their visions for the
so
country.
it doesn't say that they've agreed on it.
They haven't, because the CNN person interviewing him,
it's going to be negotiated.
Said, is that a deal breaker?
Yeah. This is a personal taste, a personal preference, I guess I should say, situation. I would prefer that they didn't have an audience, because then it's whoever gets their crowd in there.
Right.
Whoever can cheer the loudest, and then the debate moderators will tell them, please don't interrupt the candidates with applause.
And they ignore it.
Or jeering.
Yes.
Huh?
And then they
ignore it. They don't care, and that's what will happen. I would rather listen. As I say, this may change 1% of people's minds one way or another. I don't think America's waiting with great anticipation,
right,
on these debates.
Not in June.
That's
why I said in the last hour.
Yeah,
this is before the conventions. Even most people are not really paying attention to politics in June. You get the summer months starting, and you get all kinds of stuff going on. Most people start tuning in during and after the conventions.
Is it?
So I can tell you right now what they're going to debate about. But anyway, go ahead, Wesley. What are you going to say?
I was just going to say, is it bad of me to just look at this? My first thought was, this is going to be great entertainment in the June for something to do.
Well, it may be. I don't know. It may be. It may be.
Entertainment, though.
Yeah,
that's right.
But I just think
I agree with your point.
Here's what's going to happen. I don't know who the moderators are. It'll be hard to. I don't know. We'll see. They're going to go, back and forth. But so you prefer without an audience, Ed?
A debate.
I do,
sure.
because of what you said. I get tired of the moderators giving instructions to the audience. Please don't cheer, don't clap, don't jeer. Let them speak. I get tired of that. Now, the only way I would really prefer an audience is if we could also have security come and remove people who break the rules. I would like to see that.
But I don't understand. In what setting, though, outside of, is there another forum in which you would have an audience? Because I would argue that there's no point having an audience if they can't interact.
Maybe you have one with and one without. One of the.
I mean, I think, is a panel more of what you think about when you think about an audience?
I think the only reason why you have an audience, when these debates on television first started, this was in the 1960 presidential campaign between Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy.
Okay.
When they started, they were always before an audience because it gives the appearance that the candidates are speaking to people who are representing the American people, but also audiences behave themselves for decades and decades.
Well, both of those two are not the case nowadays. So that's what you're recommending.
Yeah. I mean, when we have American Family Studios, like we just had a video, when we have a video shot, we have a speaker come in, we like to have an audience there. People expect to see that a speaker is addressing an audience, and then we get to, quote unquote, sit in and listen to what transpired. I think it's purely for optics. I don't think it's for anything other.
But I just don't think you're going to get very much from this debate or debates, because I don't think either, with all due respect to both, well, especially President Trump, Biden, you're not going to get much in way of detail or anything, and you're not going to get that much with Trump either. I mean, Trump's going to say, Biden, you're using the government, you're using to go after me, your political opponent.
Yeah.
Biden's going to say, no, I'm not. You broke the law.
Right. You're a criminal.
You're a criminal. Biden's going to say, I improved the economy. Look at my record. and Trump's going to say, "No, you ruined what I had going."
Right.
I'm going to give you. We can narrow this debate to about 10 minutes if you want me to, and the rest of it's just going to be back and forth. But I just don't know how a moderator it would be fun to watch to see how a moderator would be able to question and keep them from going at each other.
So you don't think in the event that Biden lays out what he's been able to do or not do, and then Trump lays out what he was able to do?
I hope that's right, Wesley. I would hope we would have time to give both candidates a uninterrupted opportunity to state their cases on issues. I personally prefer that style of debate,
right?
Rather than an audience, because you can pack the audience with your people, and then they interrupt your opponent all the time, whichever side you can.
Sure.
So I just now in a lot of past debates, they have had equal seating.
Right.
The Democrat candidate gets 100 seats, the Republican candidate gets 100 seats, and that kind of thing. I don't know. I do think it's healthy for America to have presidential debates, even though if they're just performing, or they really don't. In past years, the debates have been looked at as, listen, there are a lot of people looking at both candidates undecided. They want to see them debate. They want to hear what they say. They want to see how they answer things. They want to see the style in which they answer. They want to see the substance. So it has mattered. In this particular case, I'm just saying I think we all know people have pretty well got their minds made up. 99% of the public, maybe that's maybe 95% of the public has already got their minds made up now. And it doesn't matter what happens at those debates.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, unless there's a huge gaffe. A lot of times a huge gaffe can make people go, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's why, Wesley, you think there's more at risk for Biden than Trump in that
100%. 100%.
Okay. Next story, Steve.
All right. Hey, there is a bridge that goes
over troubled water.
Sometimes
Steve.
trouble. It's in Florida.
Or in Arizona.
No, it's not. It's in this one particular bridge.
Stuff you want. Go ahead. Sorry.
Is in Tampa.
Okay.
It goes from Tampa Bay to St. Pete. It crosses the Tampa Bay Bay, and the Florida Department of Transportation made an announcement. It's called the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, and they said that this summer it will only display red, white, and blue throughout the summer from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Now, why is this important? Well, last June, they decked it out in pride colors, so to speak. And so apparently they're not going to do that this year. Gay colors.
Not American pride.
LGBTQ
colors.
Pride flag.
There's pride?
Which they stole from.
Pride goes before a fall.
The actual rainbow.
Yeah, and the bridge.
And the bridge
can fall down too with too much pride.
Won't do that.
So I don't. What is this pride of which you guys speak? I'm unfamiliar with it.
You are?
The original sin.
No, I'm being sarcastic there because the LGBT. Get ready, people. I know we're all getting ready. Get ready for June. They get a whole month. And the LGBTQ.
The most marginalized, oppressed people in America get a whole month.
3%.
And as I heard someone once say, they get the homosexual community, transgender community, they get a whole month in June. Nice weather. Okay? I'm just saying, Black History Month gets February. Short month.
History Month.
Cold. Okay?
Gets dark at 4.
I think,
listen, you're gay and you're proud. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we all get it.
Yes.
Okay. I think we've gotten it for like 20 years now.
Yeah.
Right.
So you don't need to be prideful anymore. You need to show some humility about your sexuality.
That's
and just blend in with the rest of us. Yeah. You don't need your own flag. We don't need endless TV commercials about how dog food companies are supporting the LGBTQ community.
Because dogs are very
right.
supportive.
In fact, it kind of makes my skin boil when this happens.
Like shrimp?
No, I'm mixing.
See what I'm saying?
I've been mixing metaphors
all
during the show, and
no one's catching it,
and nobody's catching it. Listen, let me just a little bit of let me drop just a little bit of history on our listeners.
Yeah.
The reason, quote unquote, Gay Pride Month is June is because in 1969 in New York City, this June, I forget the actual dates. Those were the Stonewall riots, which most historians say kicked off the modern LGBTQ gay movement. And as a political force, that was 1969. It was in June. That's why June is Gay Pride Month.
Well, guys, we've come full circle. We've completely hijacked the good news here, though. What was the good news again?
They will not be lighting up the bridge.
They will not be doing that
this summer.
Right. Instead, they will be doing red, white, blue, which seems to be a little bit more unifying. I think all people can get around America.
Well, except anybody on a college campus these days.
That's true.
So this is a major bridge in Florida, Tampa St. Pete Bridge.
Yes.
And you're saying that last year they had the Gay Pride lights up on the bridge, and this year they're just going to go with red, white, and blue.
Just red, white, and blue.
Okay. Who made that decision, Steve?
Well, the DOT is announcing, the Department of Transportation is announcing, the Florida Department of Transportation, the lights, the lighting display on the bridge must be approved by the commissions of 3 counties it touches: Manatee County, Pinellas County, and Hillsborough County. They all have to agree. It was Manatee County. Somebody in Manatee County complained, and so they just decided to scrap it.
Well, good for them.
Just one more to add into Florida's movement toward
sanity,
common sense.
The sanity.
Oh, I got that. The sanity.
See what I did
Governor
there?
Ron
Sanity. The sanity. Go ahead. Next story.
All right.
Got about 3 minutes.
Well, let's talk about this. The FBI is saying that, speaking of Gay Pride Month, in June, they have these debauched parades.
Oh, yes.
Well, the FBI says, watch out, ISIS might be attacking them in the United States. This is the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are saying we're looking at an increased level of threat of ISIS attacks on these parades. Well, because ISIS doesn't, they
don't like
they hate homosexuals.
They do. They cheer
in a violent way.
And they in fact called for people in this country to protest violently against these things. So,
and let me just say, let me just speak on behalf of AFA.
Yes.
Okay, that this would be a terrible thing. We listen. We can politically disagree. We can disagree in terms of morality, but we do not. First of all, we do not want violence against any group in this country, unless you're defending your home with a gun under the Second Amendment. We do not support violence. But let me tell you something. If this thing does tragically happen, it will be because the Biden administration has thrown open that southern border, and anyone and everyone can come across, including, apparently, according to Christopher Wray, director of the FBI, members of ISIS.
Yes.
I don't believe him.
Think about
or
that.
sympathizers.
I don't believe him.
Which one, Chris Wray?
No, don't believe him. I believe he's just doing that to pander to the LGBTQ community. And ISIS, they don't need any more reason to hate Americans or Christians or Jews. They've been attacking. They would attack us tomorrow. They wouldn't go, you know what? I just need to know before I set the bomb off here, are you straight? Are you gay? Because it matters. They're not going to do that.
I do think they have a special category of hatred for the LGBTQ.
They throw them off buildings.
Well, can you have any more special category than to run planes into a building indiscriminately?
No, that's on the checklist too. That they
Al-Qaeda.
They hate Americans altogether. In addition to that,
they more dead than dead.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's probably true.
What?
That Christopher Wray has FBI.
So you believe the FBI today?
Well,
okay, all right. We'll see tomorrow.
Well, I mean, they said he's made a couple of comments over the last several months about how concerned he is about terrorist activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but
yeah. All right. See you tomorrow, everybody. Take care.